afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's going to be happy for me if I nail some salmon tomorrow, huh? Well, one of the things that I often get requested to do is to give a Rancho tour. And by way of explanation, when the housing market collapsed in 2008, bottomed out around 2011, that's the time I came in and bought the Rancho here. It was a distressed property, one of hundreds and hundreds in the city of Santa Rosa that had been devastated by, well, not only blight but also financial ruin. At one time, if you look at the record of the home here, it sold for $550,000 at the height of all the craziness in 2005. It was an unimproved, basically a home that had no overhead lights, nothing in it. Disaster. Back here, as I'm standing here in the back, there were two metal sheds across the back here. And I'll be putting a link with the about what the Rancho looked like when the renovation work that was done. I just have to find it, right? I've got 12,000 videos. I hate to think it might be one of the ones that was lost somewhere in the YouTube system. But there were two metal sheds that sat here and perfectly blocked this back here. So when anybody came, when anybody was foolish enough to want to come by and look at the house, most of the time from the front street, the real estate broker would pull over and say, hey, here's a house you might want to take a look at. They would look up at the front of the house and it'd be like, oh, hell no. There was some dead tree, looked like something out of an Alfred Hitchcock movie. The whole place was a friggin' mess. So very few people ever got out and looked at the property. And then to make matters worse, with the sheds that were blocking this here, not many people ever realized that this property sat on a double piece of land here. And as a result, when I first moved here in 2011 in May and settled in just after Memorial Day of 2011, after a family reunion in North Carolina, I came back and started to do work here, and this back was all overgrown. We dropped about 7 trees on the whole property, and the place was gloomy, dark, and it was a mess. When I started clearing the back lot here, there were big blackberry bushes that were thorny as hell. It was a nightmare. And I was walking through one day and I stumbled on something, and I actually looked at something that looked like the top. It looked like the top of looked like a metal, I didn't know what it was, a metal saucer. So I started to dig down, and what I eventually found was that it looked like the roof of a car. And the more I dug down, the more it looked like somebody had actually buried their car on the property here on the Rancho. Well, it turns out it was an old Studebaker. I had to have a backhoe come in and lift that out and put it on the Jordan and carry it out of here. It was crazy. But anyway, these two metal sheds that used to be back here were used as shooting galleries and also little teeny rooms for prostitution. Yeah, the neighborhood had really gone downhill at that particular time, and the people that owned it had paid so much for it and were so desperate for income that they had allowed those two sheds to be used as housing. And when we get into Shine Shack back here, I'll have another story to tell about that. So you can see the back of it. We'll walk to the back. I don't have a stabilizer on. I am using the GoPro today, so a lot of you are used to my very stabilized Samsung videos, but I'm transferring video files today, so I don't have that capability. But the fence, there was no fence. It was non-existent and broken down here. And when I would eat breakfast in the morning, I was really freaked out back in 2011. To get to what I call the Street of Shattered Dreams here, people would actually come up, and this is all apartments back here. They would actually cut across here, and I'd be eating breakfast up there in the morning and looking out, and they'd be waving, hey, how you doing, cutting through. So the first order of business After getting a lot of trees dropped and brush cleared out and cars, and I must have pulled out about 18 cylinder heads. The guy used this as a workshop for restoring engines and stuff. So it was really motorhead heaven around here. Exhaust manifolds, just a total mess. But I did have the first real big order of business was getting this chain link fence put down. The whole side of the property is the length of a football field. So it was it was a significant investment, and there was very few things worth saving. It did have the, you can see the big fig tree on the left-hand side there, and then we have our own apple tree, a Gravenstein apple that you guys have seen. But I'm always forever fighting well leaks back here, so I'm just gradually cutting the lines back because haven't grown anything back here, but yet next year might be different with a full-on garden. But with the big mulberry tree here, the non-fruiting mulberry tree, some other trees that were on the back of the house. It looked like a chicken coop Mexican restaurant on the back of the house there. I'll find the try to find that video for you guys and put it in the playlist. If not, I'll re-upload it. But everything was a total, it was just gloomy, dark, muddy kind of mess. There were no planter boxes, no nothing. There was no beauty at all. So one of my first long-range goals was to put an orchard in here. So I went ahead and determined what I wanted to try to grow, and carved out this space. Now, Santa Rosa is a city that's been racked by terrible earthquakes. The 1906, the Great San Francisco earthquake, per capita did much more damage, took much more lives in Santa Rosa than it did in San Francisco. And then a repeat in 1969 leveled the downtown of Santa Rosa. It's a very dangerous city to live, and you guys know, with the fires and all that. And you can see evidence of that with the this is a huge earthquake crack that ran the whole distance of the whole front to back, east to west of the property here. So put a lot of nice fruit trees in, peaches, plums, lots of citrus, lots of different varieties, lemons, everything that we could possibly grow within limits. We didn't want to have a total orchard, but we do want to produce a lot of fruit here and a lot of varied varieties of citrus. I'll give you a look. We have some that produce, you know, for making marmalade, Seville sour oranges, Valencia oranges, our juice oranges, oranges for eating out of hands, like our beautiful Robertson Navel oranges that you can see here. And these need a good watering over here. But it's really been a journey. This particular Shine Shack, and those of you who've been on channels have seen the renovation vid, and I will repost them, probably re-upload them over time. This was a mess here. This was subdivided by just, this was the most ugly blue to the studs painted place. And I put this under a total renovation. It took 18 months to get approved to put a sewer line here. 18 months. And you know where that sewer line went? And you can look at the videos on the channel. That sewer line just went from this corner here. I trenched it out, went over to the middle of this private road in here. And for that little distance of about 22 feet, I had to wait 18 months to get a sewer hookup for there. So I wasn't happy about that. Once that was done, then things fell into place. I could do the plumbing rough out. I could pull the electrical. Everything was done with permitted. I had, if you guys remember on the channel, I had a building inspector come in about every week or so. But consequently, we have a real nice in-law unit. And tonight, the boss and Janet will be coming. And they'll be setting up camp. We have a nice blow-up bed. There's our beautiful, beautiful hillbilly stills, although we don't do much of any moonshining really anymore. It's just for historical purposes. Once in a while we do a run, and that is just it's nothing else. It's a beautiful piece in a man cave or lady cave here. Isn't that beautiful? Let me tell you, we have, there's been some epic production out of that. It's really been wonderful. So I had to raise the ceiling. When I originally built it, we knew we were going to have a still in here, and you can see how it would have been the ceiling would have been too low. So I actually coffered to raise the ceiling, coffered it up here. I think the total height was about 12 inches or so to get that raised up, and put recessed lighting in here. Pulled all the electrical, everything's GFI. Put a new breaker panel on here. Pop that in there. Had a power drop come. I didn't do it myself. We had to get some extra. The whole property only had 50 amp service. Crazy, huh? For this whole property. So I had to drop 200 amp service, and then 50 amp service. Had to do a drop over here so we could get some decent power in here, because this was just subdivided into 2 living units with just a hanging sheet of drywall on some 2x4s, and they just rented out both halves of it. So people lived in squalor like pigs here. So you see the nice shower that I popped in. I did a mortar bed for underneath there and did all the plumbing. The electrical. I did not do the tile work. This 6 by 12 pattern here, I think it looks very sharp. It's a very nice color scheme. I like the green. It's very nice, but it's a nice shower here. We've had a lot of guests. We do have a lot of guests here on the Rancho, from the RV and from other communities that come and stay. And they have their own, we have our own bedding and towels. This is all totally self-sufficient out here. Bedding, towels. We can sleep about, I think we can sleep about 10 people here on the Rancho if we have to. So got the built-in fridge here. And you can actually hear our well pump running in the back. Let me cut these lights off. Here. All those recessed lights were put in. So it's really a beautiful little guest cottage. And when people come now, we're going to probably put a Murphy bed in, upon the suggestion of my friend Mallory Williams, something that comes out of the wall there. But in the back, before we go around, I will show you, this is our well pump, and we do irrigate. We could never afford to grow the fruit and have the production we do if we had to do it on city water. It would just be too expensive in California. So I had to restore this well pump setup. When I got here, it had been all frozen for about 15 years. See our tanks leaking. The guy wanted something ridiculous, like $1,500 to replace the tank. You know what I told him, right? See, some of the fruit is still, our last little bit, it was a real lousy year for stone fruit. You can see some of the peach leaf curl. Did not do enough spraying. Plus I did a lot of pruning. You can see the nice shape that the trees. This is the typical shape you want to open up like a vase inside. So, okay. Let's go ahead and go in the house. I hope you're enjoying a little bit of history and a little bit of tour of a pretty famous rancho. Huh? This is our persimmon tree right here. We get about 200 pounds of persimmons a year. Over here is the workshop, which was a basic garage, and I converted that into my passion. Well, I have a workshop. I can do repair work. I converted this to, I built all these planter boxes, did all the concrete forming, tore down the old chicken coop back. It looked like the back of a Mexican restaurant here. And then had the formed out and poured these retainer boxes so that we could have a really nice, beautiful deck to be out on the back. It's really nice. We have fires and sit out there on Sundays and have dinner. Sit out here and sun myself. Come in here, and it's a little messy right now. I've had to dig some stuff out and repair stuff, but it has all of my electronics, some of my vintage stuff. One of my passions was fans. This is a 1928 General Electric fan. Some of my test gear, some of amplifiers, FM alignment equipment, signal generators, oscilloscopes, all the stuff I need to work on vintage audio. And the latest project we're engaged in is the restoration of this wonderful Magnavox 1968 Astrosonic unit here, and this is destined for the in-law unit. We just repaired the AM/FM tuner in there, and we have to work on the lighting and work on the cabinetry and fix the speakers, and that'll be a beautiful addition. You know, other works in progress here. A little bit of our moonshine. So, you know, yeah, I have a lot of varied interest. I have some other electronic stuff that hasn't even been unpackaged yet up in boxes. So, yeah, this is where the magic happens for repair work, and have had to wire and do a lot of stuff in here. Do a lot of every bit of the place had to be rewired. We can go inside now. And Missy Jen does a really nice job of She's a very neat person. Hello, Missy Jen. She's been here for a lot of big projects, a lot of big mess. Right, this is our kitchen nook that I built in. Here, there really was no wall effectively between there, so we have a little bit of a laundry room with a combo washer dryer. Does a good job, doesn't it? 4 plus. Making another review. It'll be number 4 we've done on that. Our 4-year review. There's Domino, our ever-present neighbor dog. He's like the Eddie Haskell of Leave It to Beaver, right? He's always here he's always hanging out here at the house. I'll do a separate video. We're getting ready for the boss and Janet to come for fishing, but I think this Nook turned out good. We got some nice Bose dual speakers. Did hook up into an integrated computer system so that when Jen and I are eating here, we can watch videos and have really nice sound. I have a little LaPie amplifier that I think I turned on, Jen. Pardon the noise here. I think that little amplifier, I turned it on about 4 years ago, and I still haven't turned it off. So it's part of my integrated audio system, and I have an old HP small form computer there. It's been here forever, still going strong. So still running Windows XP, which I love. This is where I did the morning chooches for many years, right, Jen? 3 or 4 years standing here and every morning clicking on the radio and giving everybody a little comedy. Yeah, there it is. And there's the Sherwood that's given so many years of great service. When a company comes over, we just sit here at the table in winter time and have a little bit of music on. If we go over here, this is the first big project. I'm not going to show you the bedrooms because you know what the hell the front one looks like. This was the first big project that Jen was involved in. This was the conversion of the bathroom because there was a tub here. And it'd be very dangerous for Jen to get in that tub. So I actually designed this so that the shower floor is below grade. It took about, what did it take, Jen? 2 months of part-time weekend, and started June 21st, 2014. I think we finished September. And lowered the floor, had to rebuild the whole floor. The substructure was totally rotten under there. Had to snap the sewer pipe, move the tub, had to move the toilet over another 9 inches to gain for a decent sized shower space here, and put a, did the mortar bed and put the slope in so everything would drain to the bottom and have a shower chair so Missy Jen can be safe. Put a beautiful glass block in here, so it lets a lot of light in. My friend Janet calls it a high school locker room, but it's as comfortable I mean, kept the old Montgomery Ward fan up there, but put the recessed lighting in. So I think it turned out really nice. It's nice and neat and clean. I still have to put a transition strip here. Like I said, there's always something to be done. This is kind of our pride and joy over here. The wall of sound showcasing the vintage audio that I have, and about half of the projects are done that you see up there, and this represents the finest in milestone electronics. Going back to the earliest units, the 1958 Pioneer down there, and picked up some beautiful JBL speakers at Christmas time. This was the first thing I rebuilt, this Hampton tuner on YouTube all the way back in 2014, and it's been an ongoing project. I do not do it in summertime because it's too hot to fiddle around in there. Jen and I also, I designed and Jen and I built the threaded rod shelving unit that you see here. And I really do believe in California it's the most extensive private collection of varied gear in California. And it makes a nice display. This is called the wall of amplitude over here. I don't have a lot of amps in it. This is also where I sit online if I'm chatting and things. And behind here we have a hub that has distributed hardwired throughout the whole Rancho. Every building is hardwired. So I'm hoping, my ultimate goal is one day you turn this off here, and all of these beautiful vintage units are lit up. And what an incredible show that would be. All lit up in the dark of night. And there's some really outstanding units. This Pioneer SX 780, wonderful. I mean, there's just all these Fishers. They run at least 800. Some of these are $1,200, $1,500 units. The best that America ever produced in audio. And if you wonder where the Avery Fisher Music Hall in New York City came from, it came from the great Avery Fisher, who wasn't satisfied with high fidelity and set out to make the best of the best. Over here's when people send us little gifts and things, we put them over here. We do use them, cutting boards and other things that great friends from Australia and other places have sent us. It's our beautiful Magnavox. This is considered the greatest stereo console ever produced in America. Beautiful walnut, 3 channels, a left channel, a right channel, and a dedicated center bass channel. And it is just a phenomenal unit. And we use that at Christmas time to do videos when we decorate the Rancho. And we collected a few things from the, sadly, from the great Santa Rosa fire. A pair of, somebody must have been a dressmaker or something, a pair of shears from coffee, from Journey's End Mobile Home Park, where 200 mobile homes burned down. A latch from the old America Inn hotel from one of the doors next to the Kmart that burned down. The fire was so intense it melted some of the guardrail going up to Fountain Grove there. And this is a little piece of glass from Mark West Springs. Another 800 homes leveled to the ground out of 6,000 that night in 6 hours. So beautiful tribute wall. Now, one of the worst things was happened when I renovated the front room. I had terrible termite damage. I built in this closet because when you came in, it was just a big open door. And I didn't like that. I wanted to have a little modicum of privacy when people were visiting. So I did put all the recessed lighting in and built a closet so that we could store things in the closet, hang up coats, and do all that. We're getting ready for fishing tomorrow. You see he's got some nice storage in there now. One of the worst things that happened was in February of 2014, after I'd finished doing a lot of renovations, a hard 2 years, some woman came came down the street in her BMW. She was totally drunk. She told the EMT services that she was drinking because her horse had died, and she was sad about that. She came down here. She came down the street, and she came running right over the hedge. You can still see a little bit of a low spot here, right here. And what she actually did was run her car right up here. I was on a hangout with Jen in the days before you could put them on YouTube. We were having a private. I was getting ready to head out to end of March to pick her up to come to California, and I had her terrific boom out here. You can see the concrete smashed here. Thank God I put this planter box, poured this planter box around here. She actually took out the corner of the house right here. So after I settled with the insurance company a year and a half later, I had to totally rebuild the corner of the house. All the interior drywall. I was just so disgusted. I didn't even want to think about it for a year and a half because I just finished all that dirt and filth of drywall and mudding and sanding. We put an integrated system for watering, an automatic watering system. So it really did come a long way, replanted, and now we're growing a hedge to give more privacy here. Put all, as you guys know, added a ton of security lighting here, so it can light up the night if it has to. So there it is. That's the first big, really big Rancho tour in quite a while, with probably more history than you ever wanted to know. All right, thanks so much for being along. Your comments are most welcome. What do you think? I'm going to try to eventually do some re-uploads of some old videos that you may enjoy, some of the renovation projects that were here, in shortened down to about 10 minutes and set with a little bit of music. It's been a heck of a ride, huh, Missy Jen? It's been a heck of a ride.
Yeah, it's been.
All right, tell everybody thanks for watching. That thumbs up.
Don't forget to smash the thumbs up.
Hit that thumbs up, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. Mwah.